Class 5 pupils, our topic is still people and population. And today we want to continue, but before we continue, make sure you have your book. You write some notes down and then you send them so that I can know that you are following our lesson. In our previous lesson, we were talking about different language groups in Kenya, including Bantus, Kushites, Nilotes, and today we said we're going to discuss with the Semites. We're going to discuss about the Semitic groups in Kenya. So just to remind ourselves about the previous lesson, we said in Kenya we have around 4 major language groups. And we said a language group consists of people who speak almost the same language. This is because they have the same ancestor, or they share a common ancestor or ancestry. In Kenya, we have the Bantus, who form the major language group in Kenya. Then we have the Nilotes, followed by the Nilotes, and then the Kushites, and lastly, we have the Semites. So after discussing about the Bantus, the Kushites, the Nilotes, today we want to talk about the Semites. And when we talk about the Semites, the original homeland, they are all believed to have migrated from Middle East. They came from Middle East and some Arabian countries. Mainly in Kenya, you will find we have the Arabs who form part of the Semitic group in Kenya. And why did they migrate into our country? Where did they come? They mainly came and settled at the coastal part of Kenya. That is the Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale, Malindi, Mombasa. They mainly came to the coast of Kenya to do trade. They were trading with the coastal people, who were mainly the coastal Bantus. Many language groups in Kenya interacted through trade. So in those days, people used to interact with other language groups mainly through trade. And the type of trade that was practiced in the past was what we call barter trade, or they were interacting, or they were exchanging goods with other goods. So after using the Indian Ocean, and then they were able to transport their goods, they exchanged it with the coastal people. They were giving them some of the goods from Middle East as they exchange them with some of the commodities that can be found in our country. The interaction between the Arabs, so their continued interaction, that is the Arabs and the coastal Bantus at the coastal part of Kenya, led to the formation of Swahili culture and even Swahili as a language. So that is how Swahili started, and through the interaction between the Arabs and the Bantus. And also through trade is there. We also have other ways in which communities interacted in the past. Some of the communities interacted through warfare. They were fighting, and then those people who were fleeing maybe because of war, they interact with other communities as they flee because of what? Because maybe of terror. That is also another way in which communities interacted in the past. Other communities interacted through intermarriages, marriage between different tribes and communities. So there are so many ways, and also you can also talk about sports. So if you look at your at our map here, the map of Kenya, it is very blank. And then now we want to see, because tomorrow in our next lesson you'll be tackling some questions. So some of the questions will come from this map. So you must know where all of them, or the route that they followed as they enter our country. So I'll start with the Bantus. The Bantus were the major language groups in Kenya. they came from Congo forest. So this arrow will show the direction or the route that they followed to enter our country. So the Bantus from Congo forest followed this direction and entered our country using this route. So when you find it in the exam, this route was followed by the Bantus. So the Bantus came, and then when they entered our country, they split into 3 groups. Some of them decided to settle here at the central part of Kenya. We call them the Central Bantus, the Akamba, Agikuyu, Aembu, Ameru, Ambere, and so forth. And then there is also another, some of them went and settled the highlands part of Kenya, called, at the western part of Kenya, not the highlands, the western parts of Kenya. We call them the Western Bantus, Abaluya, Abagusi, Abakuria, and Abasub. So they settled at the western part of Kenya. And then some of them moved further and settled at the coastal part of Kenya. We call them Eastern or Coastal Bantus. So they settled here, including the Wataita, Wataveta, Waswahili, and so forth, Mijikenda group. So if you see this route was followed, or the route that the Bantus followed as they entered our country, then the Nilotes, right or straight from South Sudan, remember South Sudan is around here, they entered our country using this route. So the Nilotes, when you see this arrow from this side, this is the route that the Nilotes followed as they enter our country. Then they settled also in 3 groups. Some of them settled at the plains. Here is a flat land, we call them plain Nilotes, the Turkana, the Maasai. Then some of them moved further to the highlands part of Kenya, highland Nilotes, like the Nandi and also the Kalenjin group, all of them, the Tugen, then one group settled here around the lake, called them what? The river lake Nilotes, that is the Luos, and they entered here in 3 groups. Jokojok, Jokoin, Jokomolo, all of you know them. Then the Kushites now from Horn of Africa. This is the route that they followed. And they entered our country in this northeastern part. This is Somalia as a country. So they were following this route as they enter our country. And then lastly, we talk about the Semites. Semites here at the coastal part of Kenya. This is the route that they followed as they enter our country. And they mainly settled at the coastal part of Kenya because they wanted to do, or they wanted to trade. So next week you will find a lot of questions. That marks the end of our topic, that is language groups in Kenya, people and population, and we are mainly focusing on the language groups, major language groups in Kenya. So make sure you have those notes, you write them down. Then after you have written the notes down, you will come and draw the map. Then after drawing the map, I want you to try to fill it with these routes. So the first route is down here. You write here Bantus. This is the route that they followed. Then up here you can draw some arrows, and also you write Nilotes, because this is the route that they followed. So Nilotes from South Sudan, Bantus from Congo forest, then Kushites from Horn of Africa. They follow this route. Then lastly we have the Semites from Middle East. Remember, this is the Indian Ocean, which is here. This is where they followed to enter our country. So that marks the end of our lesson for today. Write the notes down, then you send them.